Good morning, everyone. I hope you are well. Warm welcome to our program. Good morning, Clarice, and all of those that are still joining us now. So we're moving on from Hanukkah to return to the festivals, return to the Parsha. But let me first say we're learning today in memory of Ami Bas Aryeh, Paul Kazimir, Shaul ben Shlomo, Yirmiyahu Chiba Moshe Eliezer, Shlomo Yechia ben Moshe Eliezer, ben Sion ben Yitzchak, Er ben Shimon, Leah Bas Faiva, Avraham Mordechai ben Moshe Katlam, Nasher Tzvi ben Zalman, and Ralia Bas Avram Pinkus. Good morning, David, Richard, and Clarice. Okay, so I want to return to the parasha. It is, good morning, Andrea and Eitan. It is one of the most, I guess, the climax of the whole saga that has been building over the last few weeks between Joseph and his brothers. Just to recap, so we know where we are. So Joseph, of course, had dreams that the brothers were all going to bow down to him. They saw this as a threat to them, as usurping his position, and therefore what happened? They sold him to slavery, and they thought that would be the end of it. This week's Torah portion, fast forward, he's now the viceroy of Egypt. The brothers needed grain because there was a famine in the land. They came down to Egypt, and in short, they were accused by Joseph. It was a ruse, but they were accused of being spies, and in the end, they all bow down to Joseph. Okay, in other words, the fulfillment of the dreams and of Yosef's assertion is in this week's parasha. Okay, so what happened next? So the Yalkut, there's a famous medrash in this week's parasha. I want to quote it for you, word for word, because it's telling. Reb Shimon, the son of Elazar, said, "Woe to us on the day of judgment! Woe to us on the day of rebuke! For Joseph thought, though he was the youngest of the brothers, overwhelmed them, and they could not answer him. So, how much more so, he says, that this will be the case, that the Holy One will rebuke each person in accordance with his deeds." So this reference to the medrash to Yosef's rebuke is puzzling, because the verse tells us, as we've already discussed, about the shock. The brothers, Yosef says to his brothers, he reveals his identity at long last. They didn't realize the viceroy of Egypt. They hadn't seen him for so many years, and now his appearance had changed. He was speaking Egyptian. They didn't recognize him. And all of a sudden he says, "I am Joseph." Those words, Ani Yosef, those two words, completely, I think, shattered the worlds of the brothers. And in fact, we say that is the words that was the words of rebuke to the brothers. And the question is, where's the rebuke? Just to say, "Hi, I'm Yosef," or "I'm Rabbi Hachenbroch," or "I'm Andrea," what difference does it make? Doesn't sound like a hard. The way we understand a rebuke is it's a castigation. It's a harsh rebuke that really makes a person feel guilt, remorse, and it's punitive. Just to state, "Your name's Yosef," what type of rebuke is it? That's the question that's asked by many of the great minds, including Reb Chaim Shmulevitz in the Sichos Musa. And he explains that, in fact, the whole idea of a rebuke is that it tells the other person where they have gone wrong. If the person, as a result of the rebuke, recognizes their misdeeds, their mistakes of the past, that is the purpose. The purpose of the rebuke has been achieved and accomplished. And therefore, when Yosef said, after they had bowed down to him, "You know who you just bowed down to? I am Yosef," meaning the dreams were correct. I was telling the truth. There is no greater rebuke than that. And sometimes just holding a mirror up to oneself is the greatest rebuke that we can possibly have. If we listen to what we actually say, if we actually look, which we're very scared to do, have a long, hard look in the mirror, look at where we are, look at the way we're behaving, look at our interactions with family and friends, look at the way we email people and communicate with people. Are we being honest? Are we filled with integrity? Then really there is no greater rebuke. And at the end of the day, the greatest rebuke from the Almighty will come at the very end of time. When we stand in front of God and He's going to rebuke us, as the Medrash says, it's going to be exactly like the rebuke of Joseph to his brothers. It's not going to be harsh words. It's not going to be screaming and shouting or castigating. It's going to merely be, do you realize who I am? I am Hashem. Where were you? Do you know who you are? Do you know what you are capable of? And we're going to sit there and have so many regrets about so many missed opportunities of life. That, friends, is the lesson of the story of Joseph. The story that comes full circle of realization of who the brothers were and who Joseph was. And it's a lesson for us in our daily lives. Please God, we should be able to our lives should stand up to scrutiny, and we should try to be the very best that we possibly can be every single day. Memorial prayer. Adon olamim zocho es nishmois ami basari pokazme shal ben shlomo yim yochi ben Moshe Eliezer shlomo yechia ben Moshe Eliezer ben Sion min Yitzchak Arabin Shimele bas Faiva Avram Mordechai ben Moshe Katna Menashe Si ben Zalman Rali bas Avram Pinko Shach Ulilamam Ana balarachamim tasrim says kanafech Ulilamim which is Zochas Nishmosam v'yanucha mishkavasam v'shalom v'namar Amen. Whilst I have you all here, you're still here, let me just share with you one story that in a way it's tenuous link, but I think it still fits in nicely. Story goes as follows. If I'm a bit distracted, it's because the one of the schools, the Jewish schools, has flooded today, so the kids are off school. All fun and games. Anyways, so I was prepared to go literally and to mop up the school to get my kids back to school today, but there you go. Anyways, so the story goes about a worker. I've told this before, Andrea, you definitely remember it. A worker who made a terrible investment on behalf of the company. He cost the company millions of dollars. And he starts to pack up his stuff. He knew his boss was going to come in and was going to scream and shout at him. How dare you? What a waste. You're so irresponsible and reckless. You cost this company millions of dollars. And the boss comes in, seeing that he's packed up, he's put all his stuff in the box, and he says to him, what do you think you're doing? Where do you think you're going? He says, well, I messed up. I know that you're going to scream and shout, so I'm going to, quit and just leave. There's nothing I can do. He says, what are you talking about? This has been the greatest education you could possibly have. We've invested through your mistake. You've learned from that mistake, and we've invested the money that you lost in your education. And therefore, said the boss, now sit down. Now you've learned from that experience. Now you can be a better person and a better worker. That was the rebuke, just to recognize who we are and what we can be. Okay, just want to bring that in, share it with you. Let's go on to Psalm 23. I know we're doing it in a different order to usual. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He causes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Even as I walk in the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You set a table before me in the presence of my adversaries. You anointed my head with oil. My cup overflows. May only goodness and kindness pursue me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forevermore. Refuah Shlema prayer. We have in mind, of course, our dear friend Andy, Ruth Tunkel, and all those that are unwell in our community and beyond. Mi sheberach Avosenu Avram Yitzchak Yaakov, Moshe Aaron David Shlomo Yivarech Rapes Achelim, Bavu Shani Mispalim Bavoram B'schos HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yimalei Racham Yimaleihem Lachem Alafosam Yishlach Lem Refuah Shlema Shemaim L'chol Reim B'Sol Shacha Yisrael Refuah Sanefesh Refuah Saguf Hashem Makariv Nama Amen. Refuah Shlema. Lovely to see you. A fascinating, timeless lesson we learned this morning The day of the rebuke and rebuke in life is not about making someone feel bad. It's just holding that mirror up and learning where we've gone wrong so we can be better people. Let's go out now and do it. Have a great day.